What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. I am Farzin Vasugian. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, and also this will be archived on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and also available on places like Spotify, Apple, anywhere where you can download and listen to a podcast. So excited to have you guys tonight. Not a very long podcast tonight. We are going to preview the game between the Chiefs and the Lions. Also talk a little bit about the press conferences we had from Arrowhead today, as well, the Arrowhead practice facility, I should say, where we had the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bolton, Isaiah Pacheco. Those guys spoke today. A majority of the reactions really coming from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes, these players won't give too much. I think this is one of those weeks where, especially coming off a short week, those players are probably going to have very little to say. Patrick, of course, does this regularly. I mean, it's in his DNA now, the way he does these media obligations. So he certainly gave some interesting reactions today. In fact, gave an answer where a lot of people had a very different response to it than I did. But nonetheless, I think it's still something to get into. Andy Reid was asked about Butker as well. He gave a very interesting answer about Butker's struggles and had a very interesting comparison. So we'll get into that here. And of course, we'll go over the injury report between the Chiefs and the Lions from Wednesday's practice for both teams. And I'll break down the Detroit Lions, tell you what you need to know about the team in a nutshell, and I'll give you my score prediction. This one's going to be interesting for a score prediction. I have had all kinds of different thoughts as to what the score prediction will be. I actually just put my score prediction shortly before going live, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm hoping it's right. I'm telling you right now, I do think this could be a high-scoring football game. And I think some Chiefs fans might be nervous about that. I think some Detroit fans might be nervous about that as well, because they're definitely missing some players in the secondary. They do have a very important player on their offense that's on the injury report. Is that something to be concerned about? I'm not too sure about that, but we'll get into all of that here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Before we get any further into the podcast, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I get my sports tickets, concerts, whatever it is you want to attend. SeatGeek is where I go. So, for example, you guys want to go to Arrowhead this Sunday for Sunday Night Football. Of course, it's going to be a big one between the Chiefs and the Lions. We, of course, have college football. KU, K-State, Mizzou, baseball playoffs continuing. The NBA preseason recently tipped off. And tonight, my Vegas Golden Knights, baby. My Vegas Golden Knights get their season underway. You guys want to catch any of the sports action, all you have to do is go to SeatGeek. And if you're a new customer, you can use my promo code FARZIN and save $20 off their first order, or your first order from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, use my promo code FARZIN if you're a new SeatGeek customer and get $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. The Kings, get out of here with that, Daniel. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to be the best looking regular season team every year. And then they find a way to piss me off in freaking April or May. I mean, yeah, Jack Eichel just signed a big deal. I'm happy about that, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm just, Teresa's an Avs fan. Daniel is a Kings fan. Oh, geez. I don't know, man. I think we've got ourselves a little Chiefs Kingdom civil war here. Get out of here with those teams. It's funny because I'm a Lakers fan, and my first ever hockey game was Golden Knights versus Kings. And the crowd started chanting, "Beat LA, beat LA." I'm like, wait a minute. I don't like this chant as a Lakers fan. So that was a little interesting, but we're not here to talk about that. But go Knights, go! That is my political statement of the night. As far as the Chiefs go, obviously they're in a very interesting territory here at 2-3. Something we've only seen them in a situation just once before, and that was in 2021. I think a lot of people just want to see this team. What was Romeo Crennel's slogan? Eliminate bad football. That's what the Chiefs need to do. Eliminate bad football. because the offense is playing way better. Here's the problem with the Patrick Mahomes era, and I feel like this is a great reflection of Chiefs history too, in a weird way. In the Patrick Mahomes era, there's never been a balance. The offense is really, really good, and the defense is average at best or worse. And then it's the defense that's really, really good, and the offense is average at best or worse. I mean, think about it. Look at the golden era of Chiefs football. Yeah, you had Len Dawson, Jim Tyre, Otis Taylor, Ed Buddy. Like, you had some really good players hold up on that offense, but it was really the defense. I mean, Dawson's the only player in the Hall of Fame. I know there's some discussion about Tyre, and we'll actually have a really good conversation about that later in the season with Patrick Allen and some of the things that he's been doing. But the whole thing with that era of Chiefs football, all those defensive players that went into the Hall of Fame. 70s and 80s, you had a couple good players here and there, but nobody noteworthy. I shouldn't say noteworthy, but I mean, you only had a couple of really good players. That era of Chiefs football, whatever good you had, was overshadowed with the bad record over the years. And then Marty Schottenheimer came in. Yes, you had Joe Montana here in Kansas City for a little bit. You also had Marcus Allen as well, but it was still the defense that was talked about the most. Dick Vermeil comes in. It's the offense that's talked about, defense not so much. In the Andy Reid era, start off great with the defense, then the offense kind of took the lead on that, and we just haven't seen a consistency with that in the Patrick Mahomes era. So it's just weird how that all has worked out over the 64 years that this franchise has existed. I think 63, 64, however many years it's been. I think for the Chiefs, a lot of the defensive mistakes, some of that is mental. And I think you can coach players through it. Like, if Jalen Watson does not commit that pass interference penalty, and I think he's better than that, Jacksonville does not score their first touchdown of the game on the drive where they actually did. And by the way, on that same exact drive, what happened? A tip pass. I can't remember who the intended receiver was, but he was not really in a great position to try to make the catch. And so you see Nick Bolton on a second tip, because one of the defenders tipped that. I think it was Jaden Hicks. Nick Bolton's trying to come down with it. Drew Tranquill colliding with him. Kind of a selfish play there. You got to know where your teammate is. And listen, I'm not going to beat up Drew Tranquill about it, because that's one of those situations where it's like, you only have 1/10 of a second to really react. And once your brain tells you, oh, go get this ball, don't let it hit the ground, this is a tip pass for an interception, double tip. And then at the very last moment, you realize your own teammate is next to you trying to get the same ball at the very last second. I mean, listen, those kinds of things just happen in the blink of an eye. But that could have really changed the complexion of the game. Could it have not? I think so. And I think other things too, like QB spy. Listen, I'll tell you right now, Jared Goff is not a scrambling quarterback, but dude, you know he will take advantage of an open lane if Kansas City gives it to him. What are his numbers? 8 not carries, but 8 runs for 9 yards. And some of those are QB kneels. Obviously, he had one from -1 yard. Well, no, that was not a QB kneel in week 1 because they lost, but maybe before halftime. I don't know. I didn't bother looking too deep into this, but he hasn't ran the ball much. His longest run of the season is 6 yards, and that was against Chicago. And then he had a 5-yard run against Baltimore. Jared Goff is not a running quarterback, never has been. If you're Kansas City, you still need to make sure you don't give him that open lane, because he will run through it if you provide it for him. And Kansas City has had issues with that this year. They allowed it against Justin Herbert in week 1, and most recently against Trevor Lawrence. Now, listen, they kept Jalen Hurts in check, both passing and running. Lamar Jackson also kept in check. So I know the Chiefs can do their job right defensively and not allow running backs to run wild on them. They've done it against a couple good running quarterbacks this season. It's just, I guess, when they least expect it against Herbert and against Lawrence, that's where they get a little too lax, and that's where you see Lawrence again. Because why did Lawrence scramble a few times that night? Well, that's because the Chiefs' coverage was pretty damn good in those situations. It wasn't great all game long, but there were some plays where it was just 100% A+ perfection. And the one thing the Chiefs defense was not ready for on some of those plays, Trevor Lawrence taking off and using his legs to pick up a first down and more. So I think that's the one thing Kansas City just needs to be careful with, because I think when they least expect it, that's when they get beat by these quarterbacks when they use their legs. And that's something Spags has to adjust to and find a way. And this is why he's the defensive coordinator. I think he's got to find a way for the defense to be better about it. The other thing I think a lot of people are just, and I see the comment. Yeah, I see your question, Manny, on Chris Jones. Yeah, a lot of reactions to Chris Jones. Let me just say this, and Daniel, I see your comment. What Chris Jones did is not acceptable. I don't care if that was your first time watching football or if you're a former football player or coach. Every single person that watched that, maybe they did not catch it live in the moment, but anyone that's seen the replay of it, there's no way you can sugarcoat or justify what Chris Jones did on that play. The guy freaking tripped over his guard and then slipped again, like you know, on The Walking Dead, when the character is surrounded by zombies and they're trying to run for their life, but they keep slipping on the ground. They keep falling to the floor. That was Trevor Lawrence for a good full second, but he got back up. He got back up like a UFC fighter getting knocked down, and he just took off. I think everyone was confused. I think the Jacksonville receivers, some of them did not know what was going on in the moment. But when they turned around last second to see him taking off, they weren't quite sure why. I think Kansas City secondary also was confused. The defensive line's got to be better. And I posted this the other day. Derek Nottie is the worst rated defensive tackle. We talked about this last night, so I'm not going to go into detail with this. And I thought, yeah, how is it that you let Mike Pennel go, but you trade for Derek Nottie? I liked the Derek Nottie trade, to be clear, for depth purposes. I did not think they were bringing Nottie back to replace Mike Pennel. That confused the hell out of me. Dalton says I could have gotten down there to tackle him from the nose, please. Yeah, probably. By the way, I forgot what the other move was. I knew there was another move that Brett Veach fumbled on. That was a Joshua Uche move. Now, Charles Omenihu, I've always been a big fan of. So I thought coming into the season, everybody was excited for Charles Omenihu. And I know in one of the press conferences and training camp, Omenihu talked about how he was going to finally play in week 1 for the first time with the Chiefs. But Andrew says, I forgot Derek Nottie was on the team. When you're last among everyone at your position group in the NFL, yeah, on the defensive tackle position, yeah, it's easy to forget you're on the team. 100%. The complete opposite for offensive linemen. If you're the worst offensive lineman, everyone will know you're on the team. That's how that works. But as far as Brett Veach, listen, I've been a big fan of Veach, and I have pushed back against a lot of the criticism, and I still do. But if there are two moves that he absolutely botched, it's trading for Derek Nottie and letting Mike Pennel go to make room for Nottie, and then choosing to let Joshua Uche walk. What was the point of trading for Joshua Uche last year? Because everybody was excited with what he was capable of doing, what he showed on film. You didn't see it much on the stat sheet. You saw a lot of that on film. but the Chiefs did not use him. They traded for him the same time Omenihu was coming back from his injury. I don't know if Uche was some sort of insurance policy in case Omenihu was not up to speed, or maybe he re-aggravated his knee. I don't know. Because Uche was inactive for some games. He goes to Philadelphia. He's looking pretty good, replacing Josh Sweat on that defensive line, who's now with Arizona. So I just feel like there have been some questionable moves on Veach's end here. And listen, I still would rather have Veach as the GM than not, because this guy has done a lot for this football team. Let's not forget that. Has he hit a home run every single time? No. He has swung and missed and struck out many times. But boy, he's hit some big homers, couple grand slams during his time as a GM. He has, and I don't think we should forget that. Shouldn't have traded Tooney to the Bears. I mean, how were you going to keep Tooney though? Because he was against the guy. This is what I keep saying to people who were trying to convince me that Tyreek Hill was coming back. How was Tyreek Hill going to come back? With what contractual logistic was that going to work? If the Chiefs were going to trade for Tyreek Hill prior to the injury, of course, then they would have never traded Joe Tooney to begin with. I think a lot of people forget that. No one wanted Joe Tooney to go. That was salary cap purposes right there. Unfortunately. Chris says, do you feel like we have a chance against the Lions with all the players the Lions have on the injury report? That's a great question, Chris, and you know the answer. We will answer that later on tonight as we will break down the game between the Chiefs and the Lions. I do have my score prediction written down. I went all over the place in terms of my thoughts for the score prediction. I have to pick one and stick with it, and I do have one. Brett, I like that score prediction. You are a pro. You know he has to be touched. It looked like Lawrence was having a damn seizure and still got the touchdown. That's funny. That's really funny. The seizure. I've not heard that one yet. How about the guy we traded from the Cardinals? He was such a factor, we don't even know his name. Who's the guy from the Cardinals? The Chiefs traded for a guy from Arizona? Who are we talking about here? Because I'm drawing a blank. I'm looking at the roster right now. Who did the Chiefs get from Arizona? You guys can help me out here, because I agree, Matthew. They're definitely missing Justin Reed, but I think everyone knows that everyone knew he was not coming back. He was going to demand a lot of money, and I think the Chiefs had his replacement in Jaden Hicks. Hicks has, been up and down this year as a second-year starter. Anything new on Worthy? No, not really. Because as far as we know, he's okay. He was a full participant in practice today. Yeah, he re-aggravated that ankle injury that happened on Monday Night Football, but then he came back 2 or 3 plays later, so he was okay there. But I'm still drawn I have a blank face on the Arizona player, so I apologize. Whoever that was that asked that question, let me know who you're talking about, because I'm still scrambling on that there. KCSB Champ says, this is America. Let's make it great again. Okay. Right on, KCSB Champs. I'll take that message any day. Sure. Marlon Tupilotu from the practice squad. Okay. Oh, is that the player? Daniel, is that what you're trying to tell me? Because did they trade for him? No, he played for the Eagles. No, that's not the Cardinals player. Anyway, we'll just move on. Tooney and Pennell, big losses. I do agree. Listen, I think trading Tooney was tougher than trading. Who was it? Cam Thomas. Thank you, Brad. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, that they traded for Cam Thomas and they traded for Peyton Hendershot. Yeah, Cam Thomas. I remember some people were excited about Cam Thomas. Yeah. I don't know. And he didn't stick around for long either. He ended up going, I want to say, to Cleveland shortly after. I mean, it was nice that he was on the Chiefs, but he wasn't being used. So yeah, he ended up going to Cleveland, and he is still with Cleveland. Yeah, he was waived on November the 26th. I thought it was much sooner than that, and then the Browns claimed him off waivers the next day. So thank you for that, chat. I appreciate it. Jawan Taylor, 2 weeks, no penalties. Yeah, and I do rescind my comment. The illegal formation, I wasn't really on him, but neither here nor there. Yeah, Jawan Taylor has played better. Kingsley Suamataia has certainly shown improvement. It's not perfect, but the offensive line is playing better. Now, they're going up against Aiden Hutchinson this week, who might be the best pass rusher in the NFL this season. Definitely a top 5 pass rusher for sure. So we'll see. Henderson didn't get a shot. No, he did not. Peyton Hendershot. Yeah, he did not get a shot. No, not at all. Do I think the Chiefs will make any moves? I do. What will they do exactly? That I don't know in terms of which position group they'll target. I think the two position groups everyone's talking about, running back and defensive line. Running back was getting a lot of the attention early on in the season. Now I think that has shifted to the defensive line area. It didn't help that Omar Norman-Lott didn't play because I think he's been very good for Kansas City. Ashton Gillotte has been up and down. I think he's still, on those rookie training wheels. But I do think the Chiefs will make a move for at least one defensive lineman, maybe one running back. But again, I still stand by what I said. I think the running back is fine. And Travis Kelce said it on his podcast this morning. They recorded it yesterday, but you get the idea. He mentioned that, they're actually doing a good job and they're not as bad as some people think, which tells you, these people are aware as to what they're aware as to the criticism that's out there. Jacob says the interception was play was horrible. It was a great play by Lloyd. The guy leads the league in interceptions. He's a linebacker. The dude is playing like he is a defensive back. Yeah, that's one Patrick's got to be better about. Listen, everyone's going to throw interceptions. I don't care if you're the best quarterback in the league. It's just hard to do in that moment. Like, you can't afford that kind of mistake in that moment because it's just, you're in the goal line, man. Both interceptions from Patrick Mahomes this year in the goal line. Now, the first one, not his fault at all. You can't put it on Mahomes, although he took the blame for it. That's what leaders do. That's 100% on Kelce. And then James says being engaged is helping Taylor. I see what you did there, James, to the point where I even had to ask which one is he referring to. A good play on words there. But I feel like the offensive line is playing better. And as far as those interceptions go, both of them were on second down. Both of them happened at the 1 yard line or the goal line. Man, can Andy Reid just trust Kareem Hunt a little bit? I know on the play before the interception, Kareem Hunt got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. So it was second and goal from the 6, I think. But man, trust Kareem Hunt a little bit, man. He came through for you so much last year. And I understand they went to him more because you didn't have Rice, you didn't have Hollywood, you didn't have Pacheco. Juju even missed some games. I get all of that. But I feel like Andy Reid just gets so shy of running the football again because it didn't work on first down. Give Kareem chances in the red zone. That's all I have to say about that. Because what did he have? Yeah, John saying, why not run in the end zone? He had 2 touchdowns last night. So Kareem could have been the difference maker. Listen, Monday night was an interesting night. The Jaguars made a crucial mistake, not necessarily going for it, but Trevor Lawrence not holding on to the football, because if he held on to that football that was popped loose by Nick Bolton, that's a touchdown for the Jags, and it was going to be 7-7. Instead, the Chiefs go out there and score on a 97-yard drive, 6 plays, making it a massive 14-point swing to go up 14-0. And then the pick 6, that was another 14-point swing in the game for the other team. So it was just a weird night. Certainly some interesting decisions when the Jaguars were up by 7 and they threw that interception to Trent McDuffie. And I know that was a controversial one because of the Watson interference. Kurt Warner said he felt like that was the right call to not call pass interference on Watson because I can't remember if it was Watson or Hicks, but he felt like the two players just ran into each other. And the pass was not even near where the wide receiver was. But why did Jacksonville not run in that situation? Because I tweeted when the drive started, I said, this is dangerous territory. Jacksonville could run it down Kansas City's throats and take a lot of time off the clock and get, at the very least, a field goal. They threw a pick on the second play of that drive. So that I think Kansas City's fortunate Jacksonville never had a 2-possession lead at any point in this game, because I think on the drive where they threw a pick to McDuffie, they should have gone up at least 10, and they didn't. They gave the ball back to Casey pretty damn quickly, and Kansas City capitalized on that. Yeah, I saw the rumor about Alvin Kamara, Taylor. I don't know if that's true or not. That's been a rumor for a long time this season. So I don't know. I don't really know the deal with that. Andy Reid was asked about Harrison Butker. He compared Harrison Butker's struggles to golf. Says sometimes you're hitting it good and other times it's off. I thought that was a very interesting analogy. But then he said that Butker is going to keep swinging and he'll do that. Said he's talented and mentally tough, and he said he's not really worried about Harrison Butker. Quick question in the chat. It was simple yes or no answer. No right or wrong here. Are you worried about Harrison Butker moving forward? Do you think he cleans it up? Do you think he's going to improve from this? Do you think he's going to continue to struggle? Listen, we don't really know why it's happening. I know Dave Toub a couple of weeks ago gave the answer that it's the connection between his foot and the ball. Well, duh, no shit. Now, listen, I don't expect Toub to ever give away the specifics as to why it's happening. But I'm just curious. They're saying it's not the knee injury. They're saying it's not that. So it's hard to really say what's the concern here. Holly's worried about the entire team moving forward. Okay, some mixed answers here. Yes and no. Okay, we got a mixed little mixed reaction here. Okay. Again, no right or wrong answer. I just want to know how you guys feel about it. I told you guys this the other day. My confidence in Butker is low. But what option do you have right now? Like, I mean, I said this last week. If the struggles continue for 2 more weeks, I think there needs to be a serious conversation. Okay, well, 1 week's passed and he didn't miss any field goals or PATs, didn't attempt any field goals, but that kickoff, man, that was a bad one. Terrible time for it too. And listen, even if it was on the opening kickoff of the game or the second half, I think people would have still talked about it. But this one was a bigger deal because it was with 2 minutes left, less than 2 minutes to go. I don't know what's going on with Butker. I'm seeing all kinds of theories as to what could be wrong with him. But look, he's the highest paid kicker in the NFL. So the Chiefs are going to back him on this one. Unless this continues for a couple more weeks, I suppose. Because here's the thing. You can only put up with his struggles for so long. Like, remember in 2007, the Chiefs drafted Justin Medlock from UCLA? The guy missed half of his field goals in the preseason. I think he was like 3 of 6. And in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, he was 1 of 2. And the Chiefs cut him after week 2. And I think they had 3 different kickers that season. Medlock was the first one. Listen, we got to be honest here. If this wasn't Harrison Butker, if this was someone of Justin Medlock's caliber, he'd be gone by now. But I think Butker, his contract, number one, is a huge reason why he's not going anywhere. Number two, I think his resume, hence what led to him earning that contract with the Chiefs. That's another reason why I think the Chiefs are not giving up on him because they know what he's capable of. He's just got to focus or have a better connection with the ball. I don't know. It's been frustrating to see, nonetheless. But I'm saying he'll get through this. I spoke to Jan Stenerud, Super Bowl IV champ with the Chiefs, also in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He said that he trusts that he'll get through it. He mentioned that he had some bad stretches, some down moments in his career. I think even the best kickers go through that from time to time. Sometimes it lasts a little longer than other bad stretches from kickers, but that's what Butker's going through right now, I suppose. This is his down year, I guess. Patrick Mahomes spoke to the media as well. And to go back to Andy Reid for a moment, and the questioning sometimes from the media is interesting. The way they word certain questions. They'll ask a question and then they'll add like a little context to the question. And then they'll re-ask the question again. But basically there was a question about if there's a message to the team about social media usage, specifically Chris Jones, because Chris Jones deactivated social media after Monday Night Football. Andy Reid says, no. And he's trying not to laugh. When Andy Reid gives an answer like that, you can tell, like, obviously there's a funny reaction from it. You could hear a couple people in the media chuckling. That was fun. That was funny. But Patrick Mahomes was asked about social media as well in light of Chris Jones deactivating his social media. Patrick had a very interesting answer saying, I'll read you the whole quote here. In fact, let me see if I can actually put it on the screen. That might be a little better in terms of the interaction here. So Patrick says, it can be toxic for sure seeing things on social media. To me, at the end of the day, I know who I am and I know the amount of work that I put in and I can live with. So I can live with myself and live with the results. I feel like if you're putting in the work and you're doing everything you can on the football field, you can live with the results of a win or a loss or whatever anyone has to say, because you know the type of effort you're putting every single day. Stay off of it as much as possible. If you're going to be on it, I would use it as motivation more than anything. And listen, I think he's right. There have been some players that will, maybe respond, oh, hey, you thought this. Lamar Jackson, when he won a playoff game last year or the year before, I can't remember exactly what year, he, in his press conference, like, hey, I've heard what a lot of people have had to say about my playoff performances. So people are aware of what's being said about them publicly. This isn't like 20 years ago where social media wasn't a big thing. SportsCenter was not putting out clips on social media. If someone in the media had something to say about Tom Brady, for example, well, social media was not as big of a thing back then, to the point where if that was a big comment made by an analyst, Tom Brady would almost not even know about it. Now, people are responding to Patrick's comments, and I did not catch this myself, but I can see how it can be perceived this way. A lot of people think Patrick Mahomes indirectly, maybe even discreetly, called out Chris Jones. Do you guys agree? Do you think Patrick Mahomes was intentionally calling out Chris Jones by doing this without mentioning his name? Like, he mentioned Chris Jones without mentioning Chris Jones. That's what a lot of people felt with this comment here. Because again, I did not catch that the first time. And when I saw all the comments, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't realize that when I heard it live. I can see how it's being perceived that way. So I don't fault anyone for having that reaction to his answer. I don't think Patrick would do that. I don't think he would ever call out a player publicly. Listen, I remember there was one off season when Eric Berry, Justin Houston, and Marcus Peters, remember those guys? They were not attending OTAs. And in the NFL, for all 32 teams, coaches have a very strict rule to where they will not talk about players who are not attending OTAs or training camp. If someone's missing practice because they're choosing not to attend, they don't talk about those players. And I remember Andy Reid just kept getting asked about Barry, Peters, and Houston. And Andy kind of got frustrated and pushed back on the media, was like, listen, if I get pummeled for talking about these guys who are not here, it's not a good look on me. My point with that is, and I think you can say this for all 32 teams, but I think more so with Andy Reid, if there's an issue of any kind, it'll be addressed behind. Do you not think when the Chiefs were dropping all those passes, do you not think that was ever addressed? Of course it was. They just did it behind closed doors. Do you not think when the offensive line has failed Mahomes in the past, was there ever a discussion? Of course, not in front of the media, not in front of the public to see. So I don't think Patrick Mahomes would ever do that to Chris Jones, just fire a shot at him in a public manner like that. I don't think so, but some people are viewing it that way. Yeah, both interceptions happen at the 1 yard line, Bob. Yeah, you're right. I think that's the most frustrating thing is, listen, there's never a good time for an interception. I guess it's, it can really hurt a football team if you do it in your own red zone. But if you're doing it in your opponent's red zone, that can be frustrating because you're right there and you're about to score. Obviously, you had a great drive if you are at the red zone, unless there was a turnover where you started in that territory. But yeah, there's never a good time for an interception, and when it turns into a pick six, it's frustrating. Marion says fans trying to run Chris Jones out of KC SMH. Listen, he's not going anywhere. Chris Jones is not going anywhere. Now I will say this: a lot of the frustrations Chiefs fans have with Chris Jones, I think the frustration is justified. The guy is getting paid a shit ton of money. So if he's standing around on a play that he could have made a difference if he went full speed to go after Trevor Lawrence while he was down, that could have really made a difference. I don't know. I mean, listen, because the Jags were at the 1, it's not like their players were far down the field. They would have been able to run back quickly to spike the football and kind of just reset in the moment there. But you would have at least liked to try. You would have liked to at least see that scenario, and unfortunately, that did not happen. So there are some things the Chiefs need to clean up on offense, defense, and special teams. And listen, I'll say this right now, and I said this yesterday. I am still picking Kansas City to win the AFC West. I know a lot of people are kind of down on the Chiefs right now, but I still think at the end of the day, with the Chargers slipping, the Broncos have their inconsistencies, and no one's scared of the Raiders, obviously. I think Kansas City will overcome this, and I think they will win the AFC West for the 10th year in a row. We're going to take a quick time out and give a shout out to our newest sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, just place a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook app in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting on the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, let's get right into things for Sunday Night Football. Chiefs and Lions. Time to break this game down, and I'll give my prediction at the end of this, as some of you guys have been asking. And please drop your predictions below. I'd love to see how you guys feel about this game and what your score prediction is for Sunday Night Football. This will obviously be on NBC. It'll be the 5th time in 6 games the Chiefs will have been on a national broadcast here, and that includes the 325 game on Fox against the Eagles in week 2. That was a nationally televised game because there were no other games on Fox during that time slot. So Kansas City has been on prime time 4 times as of week 6. Two of them were regular Sunday afternoon games. One on CBS, one on one on Fox, and the one on Fox was a nationally televised game. So Kansas City, 5 of their first 6 games available for everyone on over-the-air TV. So it's ESPN technically not over-the-air TV, but you know what I mean. So it's been an interesting ride for sure, as the Chiefs have been featured a lot nationally, and a lot of people have seen some of the struggles during the first 5 weeks. Let's see if they can prevent that. Obviously, announcing this game, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. Referee for this game is Craig Worlstad. The Chiefs opened up as 1.5-point betting favorites. They were 1.5-point betting favorites before Monday Night Football. It stayed that way after Monday Night Football. And now that line has gone up a little bit in Kansas City's favor by a whole point. The Chiefs currently sit at 2.5-point favorites for this game. Minus 135 money line favorites, and the Lions underdogs at plus 114. So still fairly close at the end of the day. The over-under for this game is at 52.5. I think that might be the most projected for a Chiefs game this season. And to be honest, that doesn't really surprise me coming off the type of game the defense had, the Chiefs defense that is, and the Lions, they're currently banged up on their defense, specifically in the secondary and cornerbacks. Trying to pull it up here. It is DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold. DJ Reed is on IR. They thought he was going to come back sooner, but they recently put him on IR. And Terrion Arnold, he is on the injury report. Let's get into the injury report right now, because there was a surprise name on there that nobody saw coming. For the Chiefs, I'll just get it out of the way. Everyone was a full participant. Worthy, Juju, Jawan, Mahomes, Omenihu, Omar Norman Lott, Hollywood Brown, Nick Bolton, Christian Fulton, Kareem Hunt, Bossa. Everyone, all of those guys were on the injury report. But all of them were full participants in practice. Omar Norman Lott was limited in one practice, and then was, I think, a non-participant in the other last week as of Saturday, because that was the last practice before the Chiefs flew out to Jacksonville. And Kansas City, it's a longer list than you would like, but it has the initials FP, which stands for full participant, for Wednesday's participation in practice. So that's great news. On the Detroit side of things, it's a much different story. Their defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, was a full participant with a knee injury. Brian Branch, a really good safety for that football team, dealing with an ankle injury. He was limited. And now you've got a bunch of guys. I'm not going to go through the entire list, just really the key guys here. I mentioned Terrion Arnold already. He is not expected to play this Sunday. He has a shoulder injury. Zach Cunningham, one of the linebackers on the team, he is also on the injury report and did not practice today for the Lions. They do have a couple of other really good linebackers to be aware of. But as far as some of the other guys, Kirby Joseph, he's got a couple of picks on the season. He did not practice today due to a neck injury. The Lions have 2 wide receivers on the injury report. Khalif Raymond with a neck injury. And this one, it was a little bit of a surprise to me. I don't think it's anything serious, but I think it's more precautionary than anything else, but still worth keeping an eye on. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the injury report with a wrist injury. That was noted by some people in the media. There were some interesting reactions to it, but I don't think it's anything to the point where anyone's concerned that he's going to miss Sunday's game. So that's you have. Oh, by the way, their left tackle, Taylor Decker, he's also on the injury report. And when you look at their offensive line, they've got arguably the best right tackle in the game right now in Sewell. And there's been some speculation as to whether or not he might shift from right tackle to left tackle. Listen, George Karlaftis, he's been Kansas City's best defensive lineman. He might have an opportunity to have a good game against whoever they have. Maybe it's going to be Dan Skipper, Giovanni Manu. I don't know who's going to start for them. Dan Skipper came off the practice squad just recently, so they've got to figure out who their left tackle is going to be. It's got to be either Skipper or Manu. And Manu has not been good this year. Skipper, again, is a practice squad guy, so I'll bet on George Karlaftis. But this is an opportunity for the defensive line to step up with the 4-man rush. Jared Goff, this is not a scrambling quarterback. This is not a guy who escapes the pocket and does things with his feet. So if the Chiefs can trap him like they did against Trevor Lawrence, my hope is they can bring him down. So that's something to be aware of. But yeah, certainly not an encouraging injury report from the Detroit Lions. Their head coach, Dan Campbell, one of my favorite coaches in the NFL today. I think he is in the running for coach of the year so far in the early going of the season. He was a former player, third-round pick in 99 out of Texas A&M, played for the Giants, Cowboys, Lions, and Saints, coached the Dolphins from 2010 to 2015 under Tony Sparano. And if you're wondering the connection there, Sparano was a tight ends coach for, I think, the Cowboys, while Campbell was a player there. So Sparano gave him his opportunity as a coach. He built his way up, and now he made his way to Detroit and is now the head coach of the Lions and has done a really good job of turning this football team around, making them a competitive football team. People were concerned about the Lions, thinking that Ben Johnson, Bruce Allen moving on, or I'm sorry, Aaron Glenn moving on. People thought that those two losses were going to impact the Lions. I said, not so fast. They're still led by Dan Campbell, and they've got a great defense, and which we'll get into. The offense, I would say, is better this year than the defense, especially right now because they're missing two cornerbacks going into Sunday's game. Their offensive coordinator, John Morton, first time being an offensive coordinator since 2017 when he was with the Jets. After that, he was a senior offensive assistant for the Lions and also the Raiders. So now he's back into being an offensive coordinator again. He was also an offensive coordinator for USC from 2009 to 2010 under Pete Carroll. So he's been around some great coaches as well. They are 6th in total offense, 7th in rushing, 12th in passing, number 1 scoring team in the league, averaging almost 35 points per game. They are 19th in third down situations, and they're 3rd best in red zone scoring. Doesn't surprise me considering they're number 1 in the league in scoring. Jared Goff, of course, the guy under center, he's got 12 touchdown passes on the season. That's more than any quarterback on the year so far. Just 2 picks, same as Mahomes. Just under 1,200 yards. That's the 10th most in the league. He's been sacked 8 times. 4 of those came in week 1 against Green Bay, their only loss of the season. And then the other 4 came last week against the Bengals. A Bengals defense that's not as bad as some thought it would be. It is still bad, but not as horrendous like last year. But still played pretty well against the Bengals. 19 of 23, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Kind of took a while for that offense to get going against the Bengals, but they figured it out as the game went on and put up a lot of points. Cincinnati put up some points as well, but a lot of that was more in garbage time, and we'll see what they do with Flacco moving forward. But that was what Jared Goff did last week against the Bengals. Against Chicago in week 2, that's his best game so far this year. 23 of 28 for 334 yards, 5 freaking touchdowns, no picks. And then, of course, they have Sonic and Knuckles at the running back position. I like that nickname. Shout out to Sonic Adventure Battle, too. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's got 325 yards rushing. David Montgomery has 310 yards rushing. Gibbs is 12th in rushing, and Montgomery is 17th in rushing. Each of those guys have 4 touchdowns. That's tied for 4th most in the league. Montgomery ran 18 times for 65 yards against Cincy, so he was kept in check. 1 touchdown against the Bengals. In week 3 against Baltimore, Montgomery had a really good game on Monday Night Football where he ran 12 times for 151 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Gibbs, he had 19 rushing yards in week 1 where, a lot of things weren't working for the Lions in that game against Green Bay. Since then, he's at least 54 rushing yards in the other 5 games, or 4 games rather, excuse me. He had 94 yards against Chicago, 91 yards against Cleveland, 54 against the Bengals last week. So he certainly played much better than his week 1 performance. And of course, in my opinion, their best player on offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 407 yards. That's the 5th most in the league. 6 touchdown receptions. That's most in the NFL. They've got the passing touchdown leader and the receiving touchdowns leader. So that's who the Chiefs are dealing with coming in. He's got 35 receptions on the season. That's the 4th most in the league. He's been targeted 41 times. 6 of the passes have been misfires, just couldn't connect. Boy, they connect a lot. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. Against the Bengals, he had 8 catches for 100 yards. Against Baltimore on Monday night, 7 for 77 and a touchdown, 115 yards, and 3 touchdown grabs against Chicago off 9 total receptions. Scored 2 touchdowns against Cleveland. So he's been really good this season. And again, the leader in touchdown receptions. Did not practice today due to a wrist injury, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. I also mentioned Khalif Raymond, who's also their one of their return guys. I think he's the main punt returner on the team. He did not practice either, so we'll see if that's anything to be concerned about for Detroit moving forward. As far as other pass catchers on the team, excuse me, tight end Sam Laporta, 21 receptions for 269 yards. He only has 1 touchdown on the season, and that came last week against the Bengals. Jameson Williams, 223 yards off 11 catches, 20.3 yards per catch. So he's got a high yard per catch average there. He had 2 catches for 108 yards against Chicago. He had a 64-yard catch and run play, and then a 44-yard catch and run play. The 44-yard was a touchdown against the Bears. So he's been pretty effective for them whenever they throw the ball to him. And then they've got a couple of rookie wide receivers, Isaac Tesla and Dominic Lovett, a part of that wide receiver room as well. The Lions offensive line, a pretty good group. They've only committed 6 penalties all season. I mentioned Sewell. That's their best offensive lineman, maybe the best right tackle in the game right now, maybe the best overall offensive tackle in the NFL right now this season. Their left tackle, Taylor Decker, dealing with a shoulder injury. It appears he may not play on Sunday. So again, like I said earlier, it could be Dan Skipper, it could be Giovanni Manu, as far as candidates who could start at left tackle against the Chiefs. Tate Ratledge, a really solid offensive guard. They also have Graham Glasgow, the guy who snaps the ball every offensive play for the Lions. No one on this Lions team has allowed more than 10 pressures. So very good offensive line, to say the least. All right, defense. Kelvin Shepard, their defensive coordinator, former linebacker, 3rd-round pick out of LSU, drafted by the Buffalo Bills, played for Detroit in 2018. He retired and started his coaching career in Detroit in 2019. So he retired with the Lions in 2018, but stayed with them going from player to coach the following season, started coaching the linebackers, and he has quickly built his way up. He is now a defensive coordinator, replacing Aaron Glenn, who's now the head coach of the New York Jets. How old is Kelvin Shepard? He's 37 years old. I thought he'd be much younger given how quickly he's moved up the ladder, but I guess he had a longer playing career than I initially thought. So my apologies on that. Before we get into the players, they're top. Let me just make sure I have this right. There we go. Yes, they are top 10 in total defense and against the run. They're 12th against the pass. They're 17th in points allowed per game, allowing almost 23 points per game. As far as third down defense, they rank 19th in that category. Red zone, one of the worst, 25th, allowing a touchdown 67% of the time. Obviously, everyone knows about Aiden Hutchinson, easily top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. He's up there with Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, among one of the best pass rushers in the NFL right now. He and George Karlaftis each have 18 pressures this season. That's tied for 3rd most, along with Hassan Reddick. 5 sacks on the season, tied 2nd most. He's had a sack in every single game except for week 1. They also have another defensive end in Al Quadin Muhammad, who's got 3.5 sacks. 2.5 of those sacks came against the Baltimore Ravens, where they got to Lamar Jackson 7 or 8 times. I don't remember the exact number, but man, they got to Lamar a lot in that game. And Muhammad had a big hand in that. Rookie defensive tackle in the first round, Tyleik Williams, out of Ohio State. He and his former teammate, Josh Simmons, will see each other at the line of scrimmage. Maybe not head to head, but they'll be fairly close to each other. Maybe they'll clash at some point in this game, but he's gotten off to a slow start this season. Their linebackers, Jack Campbell, tied 3rd in the league in tackles with 48. He's got a pair of forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Derek Barnes, another key linebacker on that defense. I mentioned Brian Branch, a really good cover safety for them. He's got a sack on the season, also 4 tackles for a loss. That's the 2nd most tackles for a loss by a safety this season. So this is a safety that can do a lot of different things. I mentioned Kirby Joseph. He's got 3 picks on the year. And then I mentioned Terry and Arnold and also DJ Reed. DJ Reed is a former state cornerback. They will not play in this game. Reed was just placed on IR. Arnold did not practice today and is not expected to play on Sunday. The Lions special teams coordinated by Dave Phipp since 2021. He also coached the Eagles from 2013 to 2020, was the assistant special teams coordinator for Miami and San Francisco, coached some special teams as well as some defense in college, was also a defensive coordinator at some stops and in college football. Their kicker, Kittle, 6 field goal, missed 55-yarder in week 2 against the Bears, and then missed a 67-yarder on Monday Night Football. That was right before halftime. Hey, why not? And there was only a couple seconds left. Go attempt a field goal from long range. Sometimes you see that. Jack Fox, who's above average when it comes to a net punting average. Their running back, Jacob Sailors, the kick returner. And then I mentioned Raymond. He is their main punt returner, but did not practice today and may not practice, or may not play, rather, against the Chiefs on Sunday. So there you have it. That is the Detroit Lions in a nutshell. Wow, you have a lot of great information. Guys, that's called research. Something a lot of people in talk radio don't even do. That is called research. As far as my score prediction for this one here, Aaron says you'd look much better in Leafs blue. Just saying, dude, you should be blocked and reported for spam for saying that. We're not getting along tonight, chat. We're not getting along with the hockey conversation. Listen, I will say this. I tried to get into hockey before I get into my score prediction. I tried to get into hockey. I loved watching Team USA. They're always fun to watch, and obviously they got a lot of attention this year, and I think part of it was because of political reasons. With Canada and all of that. And they played each other nice. The Four Nations thing was awesome. I like that way better than an All-Star weekend. But anyway, I tried to get into the Blues. And listen, this is no disrespect to the city of St. Louis. I've been there once before. It's a nice city, and I definitely would like to go back sometime. I just could not get into the Leafs. I just couldn't. But the Vegas Golden Knights, you guys know I go to Vegas a few times a year. I've been doing that for a long time. I just have an emotional attachment to that city. So when the Golden Knights announced that they were going to form a team in Vegas, I said, hey, why not? I'll get behind this team. And dude, they were a lot of fun to watch from the get-go. So yeah, I'm a VGK fan all the way. I went for my birthday in 22, I think. Yeah, 2022. I went to game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, which went into overtime. Golden Knights won. They tied it with a minute left in regulation, and then they won it about a minute and a half into overtime. So that was easily the best hockey game I've ever seen. Chris Jones is the Dwayne Bowe of the defense. Okay, we're going there now. A lot of Chris Jones commentary coming up on the chat there. Okay, my score prediction. Let's go back to that. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a fairly high scoring game. I think it's going to benefit Kansas City more because of the 2 linebackers, Terry and Arnold and DJ Reed, that the Lions are missing. So give me Kansas City in this one. I'm not going to say they're back yet, though. It's going to be a good win, but I'm not going to say that they're back yet. But I am going to say Kansas City in this one, 35-28, all touchdowns. I just... Dan Campbell is so aggressive on 4th down historically, and even more so this year. The Chiefs have been aggressive on 4th down. I just feel like we're going to see both offenses say, "To hell with field goals. We're going to go for it often." So that's my line of thinking there, and why I feel like you're going to see. You're going to see all touchdowns in this one. As far as 4th down attempts, the Chiefs are 5th with 10 attempts, making 9 of them. In fact, the Chiefs have converted on 90% of their 4th downs. The Cardinals are 4 for 4, 100%. The Bengals are 1 of 1 for 100%. I mean, obviously, when you're 1 of 1, that's not a big sample size there. But Kansas City, 10 times, that's a fairly big sample size, and they've converted 9 times out of those 10. Yeah. Detroit, they're 7 of 9 on fourth down. These two teams have gone for it for a combined 19 times on fourth down. I think we're going to see the coaches really be aggressive in this one here. So I think the kickers, they're going to have not a day off per se, because you still have to kick off the ball and do the PATs, but I think they're going to remain on the sidelines on fourth down more times than not. So that is my prediction for this one. 35-28 Kansas City. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Just a look ahead. Friday, we will have the Red Friday Q&A live chat. That'll be at 5 p.m. Central Time, so join me for that. Bring your questions, and we will answer them throughout the night. And then on Sunday, 10 a.m. Central Time, I will be doing the pregame live chat. Sunday night at halftime, we'll do a 10-minute halftime live stream. And then after the game, it's going to be another late night, but we're going to go. We are going to do the Chiefs Zone podcast live, and we are going to recap the game between the Chiefs and the Lions. Hopefully a game where the Chiefs tie up their record at 500, because you cannot afford to fall to 2-4. So that is what we have coming up. The Red Friday Q&A live chat, Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time. And then the pregame live chat, that starts at 10 a.m. Central Time on Sunday. I'm Farzin Vousoughian. Once again, thank you all for watching live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram. If you guys missed any part of the live stream, it will be available shortly on all of those platforms except for Instagram. It'll also be available shortly on Spotify and Apple. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please give it a like and share it. Greatly helps out the podcast and the live streams and the social media outlets. When you guys share and comment and like these posts, it really does help out a lot. So please continue to do that. A reminder, we are giving away a signed football by Chiefs Hall of Famer Deron Cherry on the Facebook page. All you have to do is be number 1 on the engagement list. Only one person will win. So whoever is going to win it, you got to have the most engagement on the page. That's sharing, commenting, liking, all that good stuff, viewing, all of that. So if you haven't done so already, it's not too late to participate. Get in on the action and try to make yourself number 1 on the engagement list. Otherwise, I will talk to you all later. I'm Farzin Vousoughian. Peace out. Go Knights, go!